This is a topic that gets thrown around every year after the draft comes around, after training camp goes through, and it's always revolving around the quarterback position. Should you start your rookie quarterback or let him sit? And now every situation is different. There might be situations where you don't have that veteran quarterback on roster, and so you're drafting a guy to bring him in the start right away. Or you might have that veteran guy on the roster. He might not be at the peak of his powers of what he used to be back in his heyday, but you have the guy there, you draft him in to bring him to learn for a little bit, but then after training camp, you decide to start him right away. And of course, this discussion is picking up with Fernando Mendoza, and it's honestly hilarious that Kirk Cousins is that veteran quarterback there. That's going to be the question mark. Now, Clint Kubiak has already said that Kirk is going to be the one starting right now, so that's going into training camp. That's what the coach has said. But again, Kirk had the same exact experience with Michael Penix, and Kirk started, Penix came in, and we kind of seen how that has played out for his career, but that was something that Kirk wasn't expecting when he went to Atlanta. When he went to Atlanta, he was expecting them to use the 8th overall pick on someone to help him. But now you go into a situation where the Raiders had the number 1 pick. You knew they were going to be taking Fernando Mendoza, and it's a kind of a different outlook for Kirk right now. But this isn't about Kirk. This is about the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, and just the whole conversation in general about what you should do with a rookie quarterback. And I'm going to give you what I think you should do with a rookie quarterback. And if you are in the situation the Raiders are in, where you have that veteran guy, where your team, you know you're not going to be that good of a team, I wouldn't start Fernando Mendoza. I would give him the year to develop, learn behind Kirk, learn how to be a quarterback, learn how to conduct an offense. Everyone was saying going into this draft cycle that, like, even though I thought it was clear in a way Fernando should have been the number 1 overall pick, like Dan Orlovsky, for example, was saying Ty Simpson should go ahead of him because he felt like he was more pro-ready in the offensive style that he ran, whereas Fernando was doing a lot of RPO, a lot of just back shoulder throw. It wasn't really like reading the defense and making a decision. So especially with that, give him the time to sit, let him learn how to run an offense. But there's been a history of just starting these number 1 quarterbacks right away, and I know these situations are a lot different than what Fernando's going into, again, because they didn't have that veteran quarterback on the roster that could start. But Caleb, Bryce, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, the past 5 quarterbacks drafted at number 1 overall have all basically started right away. I might have skipped Baker, might have been before Kyler or after Kyler, I think. Trying to go back in my Rolodex right here, but Baker, he eventually ended up starting a couple weeks into the season, right? So they have a history of starting the number one overall pick at quarterback. But if you have that quarterback on the roster, which those guys didn't, I think you should sit him. Let him learn how to be a quarterback, learn the offense, give him time to develop and understand how to be a professional quarterback. And there's a long history of having guys sit and learn and develop. And I know these guys weren't necessarily number 1 overall picks, but I've experienced this firsthand as a Bears fan. Favre to Rodgers. Rodgers sat behind Favre, learned how to be a quarterback. Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers, learned how to be a quarterback. You go even farther back, you have Steve Young, who sat behind Joe Montana. And arguably the greatest quarterback of this generation, Patrick Mahomes, although he was a 10th overall pick, he didn't start right away. He sat behind Alex Smith for 1 year, got thrown in when they already had the playoffs secured in that Week 17 matchup, and he showed flashes, right? Because he wasn't going in being a completely new guy into the NFL. He sat and learned for a whole year and then had an opportunity to play in a de facto, basically preseason game, warm-up game for that playoff run. But all those guys sat behind a starting quarterback and learned how to be a quarterback. And like when you put Fernando in the start, you're kind of hoping it goes down the Josh Allen path, right? He gets in there, he gets thrown to the fire, and he develops on the job. And Josh Allen, his first year, was not really that good, right? People thought that he might be a bust. But over 3 years, he developed, he improved his accuracy, and he ended up being what a lot of people consider an MVP-level quarterback. But then you also run the risk of CJ Stroud type of season, right? Where you have a fantastic rookie year, and then it's just a decline and a decline from there. So you have 2 options to go there, and you're hoping for the Josh Allen path, but more times than not, you're going to be going down that CJ Stroud path, or just you might even go down the Zach Wilson path, where you start and you're just not good at all. Josh Rosen out of the league after like 10 games. But again, compared to the other 5 number 1 overall picks that I said earlier, they didn't have a quarterback on the roster like Kirk Cousins who could take over, be that man in charge, show him how to run an offense, and actually play competently, right? Kirk Cousins is a competent quarterback. He is, no matter how mediocre a lot of people might consider him to be, he can still run an offense. He's a generational bag getter. Teach Fernando how to be that. But it just really gives him the opportunity to learn the playbook. And it's not like the Raiders are a good team. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're still a couple years away, I feel like, from being that team. I do believe Fernando can be that guy to lead them to be that team. But right away, I know they got Tyler Linderbaum in. They have a Jackson Powers Johnson on the line, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty in the backfield. They got a couple of weapons out there at receiver. But that defense defense is a question mark. How long is Max Crosby going to be there? I know he almost got traded to the Ravens this year. Is another team this offseason going to try to pick him up even though he has that knee injury, well, not injury, but like his degenerative knee? Who knows? And you're arguably in one of the toughest divisions in football. You have the Broncos who just made it to the AFC Championship game. You have the Chargers who are everyone's dark horse every year. You have the Kansas City Chiefs who are the dynasty of this decade. So it's a tough spot to put him in. And if you were going to start him this year, if you take a look at their schedule, it's not really easy going. Yes, your first 2 out of the 3 games are very winnable. Miami is a complete dumpster fire. They're arguably the worst team in the NFL. You have the Chargers, a divisional opponent, which it's going to be tough to get that early in the year. And then you have New Orleans, which honestly, I am high on New Orleans. I'm going to do a predictions video for the NFL playoffs, and let's just say I might have the Saints winning their division, right? But then after you get to week 3, weeks 4 through 15 are absolutely diabolical. There's only 2 games there where you think you could be considered a chance to win with the Jets and Cleveland. And honestly, the Jets just keep adding talent. Do I think Aaron Glenn's a good coach? I don't know, Jim. But Cleveland, I think that's definitely a winnable game. It depends how Shador is going to play, because I think Shador is going to end up starting there. But here are the teams that you're going to be facing that it's going to be hell against. You have Kansas City, New England, Buffalo, the Rams, San Francisco, Seattle, Denver. Then you have Cleveland in your bye week, and then you go to Los Angeles and Denver. That is a brutal stretch, and you do have a little bit of relief there towards the end, where weeks 16 and 17 you have Tennessee and Arizona, which are going to be fighting for the number 1 overall pick. But then you end the year at Kansas City. This is not a friendly schedule for the team that just got the number 1 overall pick. It's not, and I think that could be really detrimental to Fernando's development. Again, I think Fernando is going to be a good quarterback, and I did not agree with Dan Orlovsky saying that Ty Simpson should have gone number 1. He's a better quarterback than him, but I do agree with him in saying that he needs to develop and learn how to run an NFL style offense. That's definitely something he has to do. So let him do that. Let him take the year. And I know everyone's going to be saying, well, the best time to win is with a rookie quarterback on that rookie contract, because you could build the team around him. They are still building that team around him. It's not this year. You're not going to win it this year. So I don't think you should risk Fernando developing bad habits, Fernando getting hurt. God forbid he has an injury and it keeps him out all next year, right? So instead of redshirting his first year, he's basically redshirting his second year. And you have 5 years on this rookie deal. If you let him sit this 1 year, you'll have 4 more years in that deal. Build the team around him, be able to bring in guys to help, develop the roster, develop Fernando, let Kirk play this year. Maybe you get a top 5 pick, top 3 pick, and guess who you can add? Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman, a receiving threat to help him. And then that offense becomes one of the best young offenses in the NFL. My belief in this conversation as a whole, when it comes to starting a young quarterback, if the Bears situation, right, we didn't have a guy on the roster. Tyson Bagent was not the guy, so we drafted Caleb Williams and we had to throw him to the fire. And it was a struggle that first year, but then he got a good coach. They taught him up, and look at where he is now. I do believe Clint Kubiak is a good coach. Look what he did to Sam Darnold and that Seattle offense. He's going to bring it down to Las Vegas, let Fernando learn under Kirk, under Clint, how to run his offense, and then in year 2, that's where you go for it. Draft another O-lineman, draft a wide receiver. Ashton Genty's a year under his belt. Brock Bowers is arguably the best tight end in the league. And your defense might not be great, but you can win a lot of games with a really good offense, and you have an offense that's set up for the future because they are so young. Let the quarterback sit and develop. Let him learn. If you have the guy in front of him that can teach him and give him the opportunity to learn. If they didn't have Kirk, then I completely understand starting him right away. But you have Kirko. Let him play. Let him win you 5 to 7 games. Hopefully give you a good draft pick, and then Fernando takes the reins next year. Because unlike Atlanta, Kirk is ready for that. He's expecting that. He knew coming in when they had the number 1 pick they were going to take a quarterback. So maybe instead of not being the greatest coach and teacher to Michael Penix, he's going to be that to Fernando. And that can only help Fernando's career go from there.